right, Mojo Whiskey Bar. Jamie and John, we're on location today. We're at the Haberdasher Distillery, handmade whiskey and gin in beautiful Franklin, Indiana. In fact, you can see a little bit of the courthouse there. But the head distiller, Brooks, has been kind enough to let us come in today and talk a little bit, or sample and talk about their products. But it's a really cool facility. You know, again, it's a craft distiller right here in downtown Franklin. You know, what I like about this space is definitely is Jamie. He's looking at the products now, but, you know, it's speakeasy vibes. There's Brooks, the head distiller. You can see their distillation facility, but whole bar. And they have, let's see, we got some rye, some light whiskey, some gins.
Single malt whiskey.
Single malt whiskey. Oh, I'll have to try that one too, though. All right. But it's just a great little facility. And Jamie, you've been here quite a few times, right?
Times. I mean, it's one of my favorite places to go.
Yeah.
Really
and we're the cocktail.
Cocktails are outstanding.
Yeah, the whiskey's good.
A barrel gin, old fashioned, or a rye old fashioned. You gotta come here and get one.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a great little place. Great for a date night, even if your lady doesn't drink whiskey. There's other good spirits here, and from what I hear, the cocktails are phenomenal. So again, great little place. Support, you know, your local businesses and support your craft distillers as well.
So
Mojo Whiskey Bar, here we are on location
at the soon-to-be world-famous Haberdasher Distillery. If you have not been here, you are missing out.
and there's special guests, Brooks.
Nice to meet you, Brooks.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for hosting us. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So you're going to talk about some things that we have in front of us today. So
Sure.
lead the way, man.
All right. So these are three of our more unique products here. We've got a single malt whiskey, so made kind of in the style of Scotch, twice pot distilled, 100% malted barley. It's smoky. It's got honey, spice, pepper, new and used oak, which you can do now with the new single malt laws in America. So that's new and used oak. It's one of our best sellers. It's our second best-selling bottle of the year. So it's just under 100.
I smell the smokiness a whole bunch.
Right off the bat, yeah.
And I'll tell you, I haven't taken a sip of this, but historically, or generally, I'm not a Scotch guy. So,
Okay.
I mean, but I'm open to it. I want to like Scotch because there's a lot of people that do like Scotch, but the ones that I've had, I think, have been overly peaty, and I'm not smelling that on this.
Yeah, so one thing you'll see in a lot of American single malts, because we do have peat smoked malt in here, but the peat here is different than the peat over there. We have different vegetation, right? It's more medicinal. You've got seaweed and everything. So a lot of your peated scotches are going to be more medicinal.
Sure.
This is more on the side of smoke versus peat. So this is
I
more
agree.
bonfire smoke, ash, campfire smoke.
And there's definitely an earthiness to it, I think. Too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get, you know, I'm cooking out the smoker
Yeah.
off this, which is great for me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to taste it, Jamie. Oh, that is. I feel like I just ate. Definitely something that's been on a smoker, like a pork butt or something like that.
Yeah.
It's got barbecue-y type taste to it,
That
right?
burnt in barbecue.
Burnt in,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Which is
yeah,
awesome.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, put burnt ends in a drink.
You guys could have brought some brisket or something.
This would
I
pair
don't
really
know what
well.
we were thinking there. Yeah, we should have.
Just
And,
love
you
it.
know, it's viscous. There's good legs on this. I mean, this is a solid drink.
You
I
said
can
it's 100
see
proof.
It's just under 100 and just under 2 years
Okay.
old. So that's a blend of 3 barrels.
Okay.
2 used oak and 1 newly charred. So we had single barrel offerings, and unfortunately, single malt we're very low on stock right now. But
I can see why it's one of your better sellers. Though.
Yeah, that's good.
and
Unique.
it's tremendous in the cocktail. We had a toasted old fashioned that was garnished with a toasted marshmallow.
Yeah.
And it was real like campfire s'moresy.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's good. All
It's a
right.
good drink.
What is number 2?
Number 2,
Brooks.
It's like
also
unique.
made with malted barley.
Okay.
But this is a unique spirit. This is distilled from Superfly IPA from Oak and Barrel Brewing Company. in
Yeah.
Greenwood. So bottle ready IPA beer trucked in here 100 gallons at a time, double distilled, aged in bourbon barrels.
Wait. So you take the oaken barrel beer and distill it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's cool.
Double
Yeah.
distilled.
As you double distilled, yep.
Yeah.
So we treat it the way we would treat our single malt,
Sure.
essentially.
I mean, when you distill, after you ferment, essentially that's a beer, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it really is. The main difference is it's of course has hops in the
Right.
brewing process, which actually doesn't allow us to call it whiskey. So the Tax and Trade Bureau, if there's hops used in the brewing process, they won't let you call it whiskey, which is why we call ours Hop Factory.
Okay.
So we have a standard hop factory. This is a unique one. This was finished in an apple brandy barrel. So it's got fruitier orchard. It's got something about the apple, I think, brings out the hops more than the regular hop factory.
Yeah, it has one of the most unique noses.
A lot of floral notes. I
Yeah.
think.
Floral, piney,
Yeah, I get the pine for sure.
peaches. Yeah.
All right.
And that's just over 100 proof, just over a year old.
It's interesting to me that you got to 100 proof off beer.
Came off the still starting at about 160.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's got a lot of the beer notes. Like I used to be a big IPA fan. I think there's a lot of IPA notes on the palate too. So if you're a beer drinker trying to get into whiskey, this would be it's not whiskey, but
Yeah, well, it might as well.
right, for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes. But if you're a beer drinker looking for a spirit, this is a good one because it has a lot of those IPA notes.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
really good, and I get a lot of that pine too, which
We get a lot of the pine.
a lot of the pine. The floral
And it
comes
has
through.
just enough heat on it.
Yeah,
You know, I like at least 100 proof. That's what I like these there.
man, that's really good.
You guys,
That's so unique.
so my kids like sugary cereals. Fruity Pebbles is one of the
Oh,
ones they
yeah.
love. Think of Fruity Pebbles. On
Yeah.
this. You got cereal grains, you got fruit.
Especially in the back end. There's a fruity pebble aftertaste for sure. That's really good. And this one's called again the.
That's Hop Factory,
Hop
aged in
Factory.
an apple brandy barrel. Yep. That's
Now,
good.
what
Yes, sir.
what drove you to this? What was the thought that you thought, well, I bet this would be great if we took a beer and then we aged it?
So actually, that story. So my wife and I went to Napa in 2016. Weren't really into wine, but just thought it would be a fun trip.
Yeah.
And that's before we had kids, of course. And
Yeah, they run everything.
they really do. You know,
Unbelievable.
it's weird how we don't do as much stuff anymore. But my wife's looking, and we go to winery.
Sure.
She's like, "Hey, this place is a distillery. It's called Charbet Distillery, little
Okay.
tiny place, and also a winery, and they make brandy and such." But just happened upon this place. We were the only two people there. We were there for like 2 hours. They were running a really small still while we were there. We're like,
Okay.
talking to this guy who was running the still and everything. Like, man, this is really cool. And they were the first in the country to take IPA beer and distill it into a spirit. And theirs is, I love ours, but theirs is like a must try.
Okay.
And we're like, man, that was a great experience. That was really awesome. And that actually kind of started us on the
Planted a
path to-
seed.
Planted a seed. So that was so this was really started from the minute we decided to
Well, and it's cool that you got to use a local brewery's beer
Absolutely.
too. I mean,
Yeah.
Oaken Barrel makes some great.
So they were the
beers.
first brewery in Johnson County. We're the first distillery.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense. They were the second brewery in Indiana.
Yeah, they're pretty. They've been around for a minute.
Forever,
So.
yeah.
Way before craft beer was a thing. So yeah,
First.
yeah. All right. What's our third one we're going to sip on?
All right. So this is my wife's favorite. This
Okay.
is barrel aged gin. So this starts its life like our original gin, which is the whiskey maker's gin.
Sure.
So we don't use neutral spirits.
Yeah.
We always have to make things the most labor intensive way possible. I don't know why we decided to do that, but so it starts its life just like our bourbon would. Bourbon mash bill.
Okay.
4 to 6 day ferment. It gets a stripping run, pot distillation, and then we do a second pot distillation with a small reflux column.
Okay.
Pull off a spirit that's about 175 proof. So it's basically the base spirit of our light whiskey at that point. Still buttery, still has grain character, and then we macerate botanicals in that base spirit and distill that a third time during our gin infusion distillation.
Yeah.
And then that gives us our gin. So no neutral spirits. It's got kind of a whiskey backbone and texture. So therefore, when we put it in bourbon barrels and rye barrels, it's even more than whiskey drinker's gin. Now it's got vanilla and caramel,
Yeah,
and it's got body. So, and of course, a lot of botanical flavor.
I mean, it's like I enjoy gin every now and then, but I remember the first barrel aged gin I discovered is a small craft distillery in Franklin, Kentucky called Dueling Grounds.
Dueling Ground. We were just talking about Dueling Ground.
So good, and that was the first time I had a barrel aged gin. I didn't even know that was such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie has been telling
I've
me
been
about.
talking about this for a while.
Yeah, so
on this show.
really looking forward. But the nose on this is. It's got everything you like about a gin nose.
Everything.
If you like gin.
Yeah.
Right? And I think even if you don't like gin, this has got a really pleasant nose.
And it kind of milds the stuff that you may not like about gin.
Yeah,
It
right.
kind of miles it
Right,
out
right.
there. You're like, this is great. This
Right.
is outstanding.
One
But
of
it's
the
got a lot
fascinating,
more fruitiness.
Yeah,
to
it
it,
brings
right?
the
yeah,
fruit out.
it's very zesty. Something that's interesting about barrel aging the gin, not only are you getting the addition of these caramel and whiskey notes, but the botanical profile changes. Certain botanicals kind of go by the wayside, certain ones heighten. The zesty citrus always
Yeah,
heightens, and then some of that sharp juniper kind of falls by the wayside. So it's a good introduction, gateway gin for people.
Yeah, it's like mandarin oranges,
Yeah,
a
the
little bit of
citrus
lemon,
comes out.
and
It's the
there's a
star
lot
of the show
citrus.
on that.
All right, enough talking about it. Let's drink it. That is lovely.
And that's a
It's
single
outstanding.
cask. That's 116. Should have warned you.
That's okay.
Almost
the
has
proof
like
is
a
there.
numbing-
You can feel that one though.
It's good, man.
Has a numbing Novocaine quality on
It
the lips,
does.
kind of. Yeah.
I don't know why I take cold medicine. This is the stuff we should be taking.
Well, the other day I had a cold, and I told my wife, I'm like, screw this cold medicine. I'm just going to make a hot toddy. So that's what I did. This would be lovely if I ever had that cold or sinus infection.
All this stuff was medicinal when it was first
Absolutely.
conceptualized anyway.
Right, yeah.
This is a great
real
finish.
medicine.
The finish on this is
Oh,
outstanding.
the citrus is it's very it's tangy, but yet at the same time there's a little bit of bitterness, like it's like lemon, that a lot of orange coming through for me. I can see why you like this in a cocktail.
I mean, I'm done with orange juice for breakfast. We're just going to go with barrel juice.
I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right. Yeah.
So, while we have you for a few minutes, and again, thank you so much. We greatly, you're our first official field trip.
All right.
I don't know if you'll be our last, but we'll
Definitely
see.
going to be the first.
Definitely the first, but I've been fascinated with distillation ever since. I don't know when I started to get into it, but you obviously are fascinated so much so that you did this. So, what inspired you to start Haberdasher, and what made you think, Franklin, Indiana is the perfect spot for that?
Well, I think we started just as enthusiasts, of course. Our favorite thing to do was go to distilleries, breweries. Always loved all the stories and all the different approaches to how people make product. And I think we just wanted to get closer to the product and really get into it. We were doing tastings for friends at home and really getting into it, and realized, it was kind of just felt like the next step.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to make it. I want to do it legally.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it really was kind of a hobby for years
Yeah.
for us. We didn't make $1 for about 4 years.
Right.
So it was just a hobby. I kept my day job. I was here Saturdays at about 3:30 in the morning,
Right.
trying to do a 12-hour day, trying to fit a week's worth of work into one day.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what started us. And I've always been fascinated by distillation and where these flavors come from. I mean, some of the things you taste in a single malt or even in a bourbon that's just grain yeast and water in a barrel.
I know. It's
How do I
wild.
get cinnamon? Where does cinnamon come from? This doesn't make any sense. Where's coconut coming from?
Yeah.
So it's a wild thing.
I've always, heard and from what I've tried, at least as I've been drinking whiskey, a lot of that flavor comes from the barrel. So do you find that to be true in your experience? Because I got to imagine the yeast strains. I mean, I'm not asking where you get your yeast strains, but that's probably some secret sauce from distillers.
So the only way to answer that is every spirit is different. Every whiskey is different. It completely depends on the distillate going into the barrel, the entry proof, the size of the barrel, the char level, the temperatures and the humidity and all the atmosphere around the barrel aging. How long is it aged? Is it agitated during aging? So what we do is we try to tailor each barrel aging experience to each spirit. So it's always used oak for our hop factory because the distillate is going to be the star of the show.
Right.
I mean, distilling that beer is a huge pain. As you can imagine, it foams a lot when you distill it.
with all the hops.
Yeah, and so that we want to really protect the base spirit, the distillate. And as an artisan, we want to protect that base spirit flavor because that's the whole point of us doing what we're doing.
Right.
We don't want to let the barrel get all the attention.
Right.
But for bourbon and rye, of course, you have to use newly charred oak. So we make decisions based on our base spirit, on kind of what we're going to use. So.
And do you do like the aging locally, or is that proprietary information?
It's right under our feet.
Okay.
So
All right.
this building's on a full basement. So yeah,
So
we
it's your cellar aging.
Cellar aging.
All right. Cool.
Which is great. So we know our spirits only going to be 1 to 3 years old.
Yeah.
We can't age our spirits as long as we like. We're a small distillery.
Well, but Jamie and I were commenting when we were trying your bourbon and rye. For I think the bourbon was 14 months and the rye was 16 months. I'm
Sounds
surprised. It is crazy. But usually if you have something that young, it doesn't
Flavor.
have depth.
Yeah.
It's kind of flat, and your products they drink as if they were 6 years old.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So part of that is
But you've been fine tuning your craft.
exactly, and we make them with that in mind. We know it's coming out young, so we cut it super clean.
Okay.
We use smaller barrels from select cooperages.
That makes sense.
We go in the barrel lower,
Yeah.
which is going to not over extract
Right.
in a short amount of
So
time.
your target proof is somewhere coming out of barrel. You're probably targeting 100-ish, give or take.
So we'll typically enter between 106 and 110.
Yeah.
And when you're using used oak, you kind of need a little bit more proof to really extract.
Yeah,
'Cause when
okay.
the barrel's getting more tired. But yeah, we kind of begin with the end in mind there, knowing it's going to be young. So we got to cut it really clean because it's not going to get cleaned up for 10 years in that barrel.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So, and again, thank you. We're so gracious that you were willing to allow us to come shoot some
thank you,
content.
guys.
So,
Now, one question I have is from a product line, where do you see it expanding from here? What's something that's on your wish list that you hope to see in the next year, 2, 3 down the road?
So we've decided to kind of specialize in whiskeys and gins, right?
Perfect.
We've covered a lot of bases in whiskey.
yeah.
Bourbon, rye, single malt, hop factory, light whiskey.
Right.
And gin is fun. We've got a rotating line of gins called the Garden Series that's coming out soon. First time I've ever talked about it.
Perfect.
And where we just want to do one-offs.
Right.
Because it's fun to play with botanicals. I get bored making the same thing over and over.
Sure.
So that's why our portfolio continues to grow. But as far as different distillates, different types, we have a lot of employees that love rum and want us to do a rum.
Yeah.
I like rum. I don't know if I want to make rum.
Well, but I've had some really good barrel aged rums.
There is some great barrel aging.
So, like, I was not a rum guy either. And then my wife and I went to St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And we went to, there was a distillery. I'm like, hey, we should go do a distillery tour. And it was kind of cheesy, but they had this barrel aged rum that was phenomenal. And I was
Barrel-aged
like,
rum
wait,
can
I'm
be
going to change
pretty
my mind about rum a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
But we have begun distilling small batches of brandy
Okay.
with Indiana rum grapes. Yeah.
All right,
So,
nice.
yeah, love me some brandy.
Well, I love what you're doing here. And,
Yeah,
and the vibe that you've set here, I was telling Jamie, it's like this speakeasy kind of vibe. It's probably intentional, right?
Intentional, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when did you? Because I know the first time I was in here, I don't think there was walls in here.
Yeah.
There
Yeah, I
wasn't.
remember.
I mean, there was.
I think you had a table set up where
Yeah.
you're selling bourbon.
Yeah,
That's the
it was
first time
all
I
like
came in.
studs and stuff. You're still doing work, and I bought my first bottle here
Yeah.
like that. So, when did you actually open the door for business?
October 21st, 23.
23.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, we're about a year and a half in.
Yeah,
I'm still
all right.
learning every day. I didn't realize how much I had to learn until we opened.
Oh, you
Now
never.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like, I mean, we're here on what day is it? Wednesday afternoon, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like people have been coming in.
It's
So,
been a good day. Yeah.
yeah. So, typically, when's a good time for people to come by? And
So we're
Get a
open
spirit.
Wednesday through Friday, 3 to 9.
Okay.
And we're rarely busy to where you can't come to the bar and get a drink,
Right.
or you can't get a flight. So
But
Saturday
busy-
afternoons get a little busy. Friday nights will get a little bit busy.
Yeah.
But it's pretty rare that we're never on wait.
Right.
Not having a big food menu actually helps us in that
Right.
way.
But you do have a food.
We do have charcuterie. We've got
nice.
truffles,
Small plate
small-
type stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I seen on Facebook that you were doing cocktail classes.
Yeah.
Right.
Those have been very successful so far. We've had 3 of those.
All right.
We talk cocktail theory. We make a couple of cocktails. Everybody's got their own bar tools.
All right.
We make kind of the same cocktails that we make here.
Sounds like a day night.
It does.
I'll have to talk my wife into that.
Yeah.
So how often do you do those?
We've been doing about 1 a month. We also
Okay.
have a distiller tasting series that we do about 1 a month of,
Okay.
which is where I'll sit down for an hour and a half and go through kind of like we just did.
Just
Go
nerd
through the
out.
spirits and nerd out
Yeah.
on exactly how we make everything. We actually have a speakeasy night coming up.
Okay. I think I did see that, actually.
Saturday the 17th, where we're going to close the place down, black the windows out.
All right. Secret passcode.
Secret passcode, yeah.
Sort of thing. All right. All right. Anything else that we haven't asked that you want to share about Haberdasher Distillery?
Not really. Just I encourage people to come out and give us a try. We have a lot of different spirits. You can't taste anything in one sitting. You'll have to come back again.
That's
But we've got
true. Yeah.
full service cocktails, flights,
And I would
private
say-
events.
And I would say I have been to probably easily a half dozen craft distilleries. Your product line is huge,
Correct.
really. I mean,
Absolutely.
you and I like that you experiment with things, but you do have, and I think even for people that maybe aren't necessarily into the whiskey, I mean, this Hop Factory is a beer drinker's drink. This gin, I mean,
It's
citrusy, like this, you have something for everybody. I think everyone's palate.
And Franklin is notorious or famous, however you want to look at it, for having festivals. Seems like all the time. You're always open for the festivals.
Yeah.
I've been here several times where we've done Christmas shopping or something, or there's been this festival or that festival. I always end up here.
Yeah.
So if you see a festival on the map, come in the Haberdasher.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you're a short walk from
short
from the,
walk.
I mean, we can see the courthouse.
I mean, see the
out from
courthouse
windows.
right here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get in trouble drinking too much here, you'll end up at the courthouse. So, I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a good deal.
Saves gas.
That's right. So, but yeah, appreciate your time today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you
This
guys.
has been
Brooks
great.
Bemis, head distiller, owner, CEO, all the things here at Haberdasher.
I clean the toilets.
All of it, man.
Awesome.
That's what you do when you have a business.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, great host. You should come here, check it out. Lots of spirits. Enjoy. Thank you all.
Thank you.